Hi. Well, this is how I store lumber in my workshop. And I got this idea from an old issue of Fine Woodworking. The idea is that you take the 2x4s, in my case, that you are going to lag bolt to your wall, and you cut some slots in the faces of the 2x4s. And the slots receive these bits of angle iron. In my case, they're about 15 inches long, protruding from the 2x4, and they get lag bolted into the 2x4, so they won't come out. And with the shape of the angle iron, you get a really rigid support. In hindsight, I think I would change this to 1-inch angle iron because they have sagged a little bit over the years. Not a lot. At worst case, I measured about 1/8 of an inch, and most of that occurred early on, so they haven't continued to sag. So 1-inch angle iron would really work good. So this provides a great, quick way to make some very robust shelving for your lumber. But what I didn't do is I didn't install any shelving on top of these supports. I used my lumber as the shelving. Of course, the downside to that is I lose access to all the lumber that's at the bottom of each level, and then things get a little unstable sometimes as you're trying to remove pieces from the lower levels. So what this video is about is my attempt to fix that. I'm going to install some shelving on top of these supports, and I'm not just going to throw up some pieces of plywood. I'm going to make some shelving. These are going to be 10 feet long, and they're about 16-inch wide pieces. Now, of course, your 4x8 material is 8 feet long, so I'm going to have to join pieces together to get a full 10 feet in length. And I'm going to use dominoes to do that. I'm going to install some 3-inch wide edging with biscuits, and that'll, I think, will provide the rigidity to make for a fairly flat and straight piece of shelf. And that's it. So let's get going. Okay, I have the front edging glued onto my shelf. In this case, it's long by an inch or so. Now, before I glue this up, I could have measured and cut it to final length with one of my power saws. But to tell you the truth, this is kind of an awkward piece to maneuver around. It's 10 feet long, and I just stopped it to glue it on to the shelf and then cut it to final length with my handsaw. And that really works fine. Contrary to perhaps a common belief that you can't use hand tools with plywood, I'm here to say that's absolutely not true. After all, plywood is essentially wood. It is wood. It just has a few more glue lines. So it cuts fine. I use an older back saw to cut with, and you just have to score your lines that you're cutting to avoid a lot of tear out with the thin veneer. All right, well, let's get to cutting here. And just use a combination square to mark a line, and an X-Acto knife. Take progressively harder cuts. Combination squares hard steel, so I can't hurt later. Makes it really easy to see that you've reached your cut line. And that's that. Hi. Well, this project is complete, and I'm really glad I did this. Now I have these nice flat shelves that make it so much easier to store my cutoffs. I'm really glad I painted them white. It reflects the light and keeps this from being a dark zone in my workshop. All the cabinetry in my workshop is made out of white melamine, MDF, with wood trim. My walls are painted. It's all about trying to keep the workshop bright. If I had wood paneling and all my cabinetry was solid wood, it would look beautiful, but it would definitely be a darker workshop. Going with simple molding on these shelves really snazzes these things up, and I'm so glad I did. It doesn't take that much more effort to do, particularly something like this where you're just going to paint it. You just install it with a brad nailer, and the molding is cheap. I put with this white paneling in the back and installed with silver washers. When you walk into the workshop, you just get the sense that there's furniture hanging on the wall, that this is cabinetry. Even though the back is not a cabinet, it looks like it. So it's overall a pleasing experience. The big takeaway that I got from this also is that I have way too much wood, leftover wood. I don't know what it is with woodworkers, but we get scraps and we look at them. We think I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm sure I can use this for something. And then we put it aside, and we start accumulating all of this. I've already thrown away what you see on this bottom shelf. I've already thrown that much away, and my goal is to throw away at least half of what you see here. I want to keep this bottom shelf empty, except for the lumber that I'm using for my current project. And the top two shelves will be for cutoffs. What do we use this wood for? We use it for, at least for me, I use it for small little projects. I might want to make a box for something. I can usually have the wood in my workshop. I don't have to go out and buy any wood. And for jigs. So what helped me to get to the point where I could start throwing this away was the realization that it's really not that much money here sitting in this kind of wood. If I needed to buy a bunch of wood for some jigs or for little boxes, I could probably spend $50 and have enough wood to last me a few years for those kind of purposes. So throw it away, and with the realization that if you're short on wood, you need some, you can go out and buy some. All right, well, if you're like me and you're or like I was, and you're still storing your lumber on shelves that consist of your lumber, I'd really strongly encourage you to consider making some flat shelving and put some molding on it, snazz it up. It looks nice. All right, thanks for stopping by.